Hey guys, welcome to the Scholar Online YouTube channel, the channel that is all about learning. So this week we are going to continue with the Llama 2 model installation. If you watched the video that I did about 2 weeks back, I was able to download the models from Meta, but I wasn't able to run it because I was working on the wrong infrastructure. So I've gone and redone everything, and this time, as you can see, I've got the model working. It's running on this virtual server, and I'm able to run the 13b chat model, okay, with two processors, which means it's running on a multiple GPUs. So I'm going to take you through the process of installing the system, getting it to run, and how much it took, and what I went through learning about it, and what I experienced and what I learned. So obviously I'm new to running these large language models. Although I'm a developer, it doesn't mean that I'm a developer in everything. Okay, so make sure you watch until the end so that you can see what we've learned, and then you don't make the same mistakes, and you know exactly what it's going to take and exactly how much it's going to cost you to run this model. And again, as usual, please remember to like our video, subscribe, because it helps our channel, and go into the description box and read through there. If I say I'm going to link something in the description below, you will find it in there, and then the timestamps as well, I will have it, and I will also timestamp some of the things that didn't work and everything that I went through to actually get the model to finally work. Okay, so you can see over here running the default script. So the default script is this script, which is available over here on the Llama Facebook Meta page. All right, so that's the script I ran. So, and you can see it ran well. It was able to give me a recipe for mayonnaise. It was able to, continue the Paris conversation. It was able to answer with haiku. It's able to give me, tell me about a trip in emojis. So everything works, and I would say the quality is actually not so bad for the 13b billion parameter model. Okay, so stay tuned until the end to figure out what are the system requirements and what exactly do you need to run the Llama 13b model. DigitalOcean actually does not supply virtual servers that have GPU. Okay, so clearly that is something that they need to improve upon, and upon further investigation, I found out they are partnering with a company called Paperspace. So if you click right off DigitalOcean's website, you will see this new, I remember a note coming out in the past couple of weeks that DigitalOcean has bought a company called Paperspace, which specializes obviously in computing with virtual GPUs for obviously AI type models. And there's a lot that you can do with GPUs. People that do gaming. So if you're in the gaming space, here I am in Paperspace, and I haven't created a new account. I'll try and see if I can get you guys a what you call like a link, which has an affiliate link where you might get a discount or anything like that. But for me, what I'm interested in is comparing the pricing of running my own GPU and running my own model in my own virtual server, and then deciding if this is cheaper than just using the the ChatGPT open API, right? Because I'm already paying for the ChatGPT API. If I run my own model and it works out the same price, and I might as well use the API. But if it works out cheaper, then well, of course, I want to use my own model. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I want to do is just to take you through the reading, and you can go through here and you can understand exactly what how everything works, right? You can develop, train, and deploy. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of training. I'm going to use the custom model that has already been pre-trained for chat conversations. I just want to take you to the pricing page so you can see what you have to deal with. When you land on the pricing page, you're automatically looking at this sort of different pricing bracket. So they've got, actually what you don't notice on the side is this platform and compute. All right, so these are actually two different offerings from a Paperspace upon further investigation, and you need to decide which one you want. Okay, so platform gives you a complete machine learning platform, and it's written at the top there in very small fonts, right? And within the platform, arrangement, you can get a free GPU and 5 gig of storage. You can get 8 gig or you can get 39 gig, but you pay this on a monthly, no, 50 gig, and you pay this on a monthly basis. You paid upfront for the whole month, and then you've got everything that it offers between all of these. All right, and it gives you a machine learning platform, and it's great. You can have individuals or you can have teams. So if you're working with more than one person, you guys can work on the same projects within the same account. And the compute, on the other hand, is now where you get charged actually per hour of usage. All right, so this then gives you an actual dedicated GPU on a virtual server that you get to use. And this is, I think, what we need, because we want, and this is charged per hour, and you can see all the different options and the different pricing. So obviously I'm going to go for the cheapest one, which is $0.45 per hour, and you can then get a virtual server and get it installed with this multi-type of GPUs. But you can see at the top there, it looks like it's powered by NVIDIA, but the point is, we want to work on a project and see how it goes, and maybe tomorrow, maybe by the time I finish this video, I will get rid of the server anyway, and I'll only pay for whatever hours I've used it for. All right, so this is how the pricing works, and you can decide which one works for you. I need to enter my phone number here to verify. Try that. Just me. Actually apply for a download link. So both of them are in the description of the video. So the first step, obviously, the download link we had last week is not going to work anymore because it's only valid for 24 hours. So we're going to do Llama2 download and request a new link from Meta. Okay, so to do that, you just click on download the model, and you're just going to enter your information again, and you should get the link in just a few seconds. All right, so today I have requested access to get multiple GPUs. So today I'm going to try and run the 13 billion parameters model. Okay, the 13b model. We've installed the 7B model. We couldn't run it because the GPU that we had still didn't have enough memory, which I can't figure out how to increase my memory on this machine. So we're gonna try 2 GPUs, and we're gonna try 13B, and hopefully we have enough memory for that. So we'll start with creating a machine, and this time I'm going to use ML in a box. Okay, I've read through what ML in a box has. It looks like it has some of these things pre-installed, and the nice thing is that it has the drivers for your GPUs already pre-installed. So it's sort of like it's a virtual server that has already been designed to run this model. And I suppose perhaps this is what I should have started with. Okay, so let's start with that. But I looked at the memory, and the memory is exactly the same for both this one and the other one. So I'm going to go with ML in a box. I'm going to pick 250 gigs of space, because I'm only going to install the 13B model. All right, and then I'm going to over here change into multiple GPUs, because I want more than one GPU. So here I can have the P600, which is 2 GPUs. All right, so this is P500, and this is this is also 2 GPUs. All right, but it's P500, this is P600, is 2 GPUs. All right, so this is the one I've been granted access to. You can see there's a key next to the things, and this is unlocked. All right, which means they are happy that I can install this one. So I'm going to be paying $2 per hour. I'm going to run this thing very, very quickly and shut it down before the hour is up, or at least, before too many hours pass by. And then I'm going to use SSH keys. I'm going to go into advanced options. I'm going to call it Llama2 GPU. All right. And I'm going to default network. I want a static IP, start immediately. I don't need the snapshot, so I don't need to pay extra for that. And it's going to be about $2 an hour, right? So let's go and create the machines. Just make sure here. Oh, where are we installing it? In the East Coast. Okay. So this apparently multiple GPUs takes quite a bit of time to provision. So it's going to take some time. Cool. So we can connect here. Let's see. Actually, I'd rather have this there and my mailbox over there because I'll be using this a little bit more. So let's connect to our virtual server. Yeah, you can add this on. Permanent hosts. Our GPUs installed and running properly. There we go. So we've got our GPUs installed and the drivers, and so this is actually quite cool. So you can see everything is going is installed properly. Let's see what's written here. So this is the driver, the Quadro P600, the Quadro P600. All right, cool. So we're good to go. Let's go and read our documentation and get started with the Llama installation. All right. So the first thing that I need to check, of course, is that we do have wget and MD5 sum installed. So which wget? We've got that, and which MD5 sum? All right. I'm going to make a directory over here. I'm going to make a mkdir. I'm going to call this, actually I'm not going to make this directory. I'm just going to git clone and it will make the directory for me. So just go over here and on the page, on the GitHub page, under local, under HTTPS, and just copy this URL because that's what we'll use to git clone. All right, so we'll do git clone and paste that URL there, and then it'll clone the Llama repository from GitHub on our machine. So now when we list everything, you'll see you now have this folder called Llama. So you can just cd into this folder. All right, and then you can clear in there, and then we are actually ready to go. All right, so now that we've done that, let's try and run this. All right, let's make the script executable first. All right, and then we can run it. And then it wants the URL from the email to do the installation. So this is where we're going to come up here and make sure you copy just the URL. Be very specific what you're copying there. All right, and there it is. All right, and then we're going to enter. So it's going to ask which models I want to download. This specific time I'm going to pick actually the chat models only because I'm not going to use the other ones. There's no need to use up the space. So I'm going to pick the 7 billion model chat, 7 billion parameter model. And then I'm going to pick the 13 billion parameter chat model. All right, so I'm going to install the 7B and the 13B chat, just the chat models, not the completion models for now. I just want to make sure that I can even run them at all. So let's wait. From previous installations, I know that you can technically run the 7 billion parameter model with just one GPU, which works just fine. All right, but you need more than 8 point something memory in the machine as well, 8 gig of memory, which we didn't have. So now we'll try and see if we can manage to now run that with the 2 GPUs. Okay. So we'll come back to this once the installation is completed. Cool. So our installation here is done. You can see over here that there are 2 pods that are installed for the 13B model, which means we need 2 GPUs to run it. I just want to just exit out of this, right? And I want to just clear this and then just log in again so I can see how much space it took to install the models. So you can see over here, only 24% of 245 megabytes was or 245 gig. Only 24% of that was used. So we actually still have quite a bit of space. We can probably still install the 13b and the completion models as well, over and above this one, and we'll still be able to have enough space. But what I'm curious to know now is, am I actually going to be able to run the models? Because, yeah, so far I actually haven't been able to run any model, despite the fact that I've successfully installed it. So let's go in here and do everything that we need to do. So let's start by just getting the machine ready with pip and everything in here that we need. All right, so let's update our packages. And then we're just gonna install all of these, what you need to get pip up and going. And we'll probably also try and install, maybe run a Django application to expose an API. I know Django is like a bit overkill just for the sake of an API. I don't know. We'll see what we'll do later. So for now, let's see, is it still going? Cool. So let's install these. Yes. All right. Working. And then after we've installed this, we're not gonna do anything. We're not gonna install Django yet. We're just going to install virtual environment and pip. Okay. All right, let's clear and let's install pip, which is pip3, by the way. And then after that, we'll install virtual environment. Okay. Cool. Then once we've done that, let's create a virtual environment. So we need to say virtual env. Let's call it LLAMAENV. All right, so let's see where it is. There it is. So let's then go and activate this. All right, so source, all right, so once we've activated that, then we can install our packages. So we're not installing these ones because I was just running through this code. I just sort of to help myself remember all the steps I need to take. But what we need to do is actually install these ones here. So pip install -c will install all the packages that I need to in a coder env with PyTorch, whatever. So we are in the right place. Let's run these. Okay, so the installation is done. Let's clear this and let us have a look. All right, so what I wanted to show you earlier on is that we've got the 7 billion chat and 13 billion chat, 13 billion parameter chat models installed. So you can see there are folders here, and if you click on there, you'll see the different parts in there. So if you go into the 7B chat, for example, if you CD in there and you have a look there and you list what's in here, you will see that's the model and with 00 paths. So you can run this model with 1 GPU. All right, and if we CD out of here and you CD into the 13B chat, right, and you CD into this one, all right, you will then, if you list here, you'll see you've got 0 path and 0 1. So you got like two models here, 2 paths which you need 2 GPUs to run. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that this is why we have installed 2 GPUs in order to run the 13 billion parameter model. All right, so let us be done with it. Then let's continue. So we've done pip install. All right, and then this is the command. Okay, so this is the torch run command, which runs this example text completion.py file. And I think I have it open here, a chat completion.py file. Yes. So this chat completion.py file, if you go and look at the code that you've installed, if you list over here and you look at the Git repo that you've installed, it's one of the files over here. There's the chat completion, the text completion. So these are two different examples of how to utilize the model. So they've sort of like written example code for you, so they could demonstrate how the models work. And by reading the code, you can understand, for example, how to now write your own code to do something custom that you would like to do and how you'd feed it. So if you go into the chat completion, for example, you will see that they initiate the Llama build with these initiation parameters, which are the ones you feed in when you start running the thing. And then we've got some dialogue examples over here. So this is actually a list of conversations or a list of dialogues. You see the first list shows a role of a user who's just asking what is the recipe of mayonnaise. The second one is a list of a user asking, I'm going to Paris, what should I see? The assistant replies, in Paris, you can see that. And then the user says, what's so great about number one? So it's a continuation of a conversation. And so these are just example conversations. Over here, always answer with haiku, and then whatever the person asks, then it should always answer with haiku. The same with emojis. And over here, where you can, the last conversation over here is sort of like, a system telling, you telling the system that you're an assistant, and when somebody asks a question, then you respond, and so forth and so forth. And then you can run the completion, inputting these dialogues, and then seeing what responses it gives you. So when we run this file, it should be running through these different conversations and giving us a response. This is what I imagine. And once you figure out how to build this, you can then use the same system to, you can write your own Python code, for example, and start running this, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to clear this, and then we're going to copy the execution command, which is the execution command this is for text completion. We can't run this because this needs the text completion. What we need is the chat completion, which is using the 7b chat model. You can see the chat model that is being used over there is a 7b chat, and that's the completion file. All right, so we can copy that as it is. All right, and then we can try and run it. So this technically, the 7b model only needs one GPU to run. We've got two in our machine. Let's see how that works. There you go. So it actually worked. So let's see over here, assistant. So what is a recipe of mayonnaise? This is what we asked the model, and the assistant said mayonnaise is a thick creamy condiment made from a mixture of egg yolks, oil, and acid, such as vinegar, lemon juice. Here a basic recipe for homemade mayonnaise. So the 7b model is actually not so bad, right? And then the second part is I'm going to Paris, what should I see? Assistant, Paris, the capital of France, is known in its stunning architecture. Okay, so this is what the assistant said, and then this is what you said, and then what is so special about number one? And then the assistant replies that Eiffel Tower is considered one of the most iconic, which is the Eiffel Tower, right? And then always answer with haiku. I'm going to Paris, what should I see? Eiffel Tower, Okay, always answer with emojis. How to go from Beijing to New York. All right, so the assistant is answering with emojis. All right, okay, you are a helpful, respectful, honest assistant. Write a brief birthday message to John. Of course, I'd be happy to help. Here's a brief, respectful message for John. John, I hope your birthday. Oh, this is awesome. And user using inst special tags, assistant error special tags are not allowed as part of the prompt. So we can run the 7b model. So I'm going to try and run the 13b model. All right, let's look at the command. Per node, so I need two processes here. Okay, let's run that. There you go. So it took quite a bit to run the models, but it ran successfully. So when you're running the 13b model, you need to change this to say 13b, and then you must say 2 nodes over there. So to signal that you're using 2 GPUs, because it needs 2 GPUs to run. But if I look at the responses here, let's see. Simple recipe for mayonnaise, 2 yolks. I mean, Honestly speaking, the 13b model is much better than the 7b because you could see this is a bit more structured. It explains, and it's not like ChatGPT, but if you were running a free application perhaps and you had access to GPUs, then you wouldn't have to worry about paying for the API. And then it gives pretty decent responses for a typical chatbot, right? So if you wanted to just build a typical chatbot, it has really decent responses for that. Right, and then you've got the Paris question, and then what's so special about number 2, and then obviously here is where it responds and it answers. Really, I think the 13b model is quite, you can see the emojis where it was answering the question about how to go from Beijing to New York. If you compare the responses we got with the 7b and these responses, right, it explains quite a bit more, right? Like, there's more depth in the answers, comparing the 7b to the 13b. But depending on what your use case is, maybe you can get away with one GPU and you can run the 7b model. All right, but the point is, I'm very happy that I've managed to actually get these to run. So I'm going to do my thoughts about this, the process of installing this. Number one, what I would like to see Meta doing is give a little bit more instruction on their page about what's required, because if you're a beginner and you don't have experience running, they must not assume that everyone who's going to try and run these models is an experienced developer when it comes to to creating these kind of things. Like, I'm a developer, but I'm not experience in building AI engines or in building AI models or working with things like GPUs and CUDA. So I was just following the instructions on their page, and their instructions are not very clear for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. Like, for example, I had to figure out as I went along that how much, for example, it would be nice to have an extra column over here that just says how much space do I need in a server, so I need this one takes how much gigs of space, this one takes how much gigs of space. So initially I could even just see that whether my system is capable of handling these models. Then the next thing that would be helpful as well is the number of GPUs it takes to run. You almost have to install this thing and run it to figure out, if you're not an experienced person, like, there's nowhere here where it explains exactly how many GPUs you need to run these models. So for if you're truly trying to get people to move from ChatGPT to your system, you're going to have to explain a little bit more. And it doesn't have to be a long explanation. Just an extra column in this table would have been really useful for me, to understand what's required over here, right? So for this one, for example, when I did this installation, I did it on camera and it wouldn't run on one GPU because I was like, okay, fine. What's required here? You need 8 GPUs. So if you were buying the GPUs from a place like Paperspace, which is where I bought mine, if you go into machines and you're going to creating a machine, just to give you an idea of how much it's going to cost you, first of all, you need 500 gigs of space because it takes about 160 gig each of the models if you want to include both the chat and the completion one. And then you have to definitely go into multiple GPUs. And I installed this one with 2 GPUs. But what you're going to need is the top one, which is this one here with 8 GPUs. Okay, so you need this model. Okay, so this times 8, not times 4, times 8. Right? And if you look at the cost of this is $24 an hour. All right. So just imagine that $24 an hour for a month. You're going to be paying quite a bit of money to run this. And this is the model that gets you close to getting the type of responses you get from ChatGPT. So if I look at this, this is why they've created the API, because I think OpenAI understood it wasn't a matter of people having access to these models. So it wasn't the fact that no one was building the models or the models were not out there. The problem has always been the ability to run the models on your machine. Right? The technology behind large language models is nothing new, right? It's been around and it could have been developed, but the amount of processing power that's required to actually sufficiently run the model to create a reasonable chatbot is so high that OpenAI said, well, we'll build these models and then we'll make them open and we'll create an API so at least we can access via an API. This is why the development in AI has grown considerably in the last couple of months. And I appreciate Meta yeah. And I thank them so much for making this model available to us, right? But to be honest, who's going to be paying $24 a month, a minute, to run a model that is close to ChatGPT? And keep in mind that they just released a new code model, which means that's also a different model. So you would have to like decide whether you want to run the code model. What I like about ChatGPT is that I can run code on ChatGPT on the ChatGPT model. I don't need a different model that is fine-tuned for coding, right? So with Llama, you have to run a different model for coding. So I'm glad that I took this exercise, because as a developer, as somebody that's in the space, I like to always just inform myself as what is out there, what is possible, and if you've got a use case where you think you want to run this on your own, at least the 2 GPU thing is reasonable. Because if you think about, I'm going to just open this ChatGPT and ask it, oh, there it is. I already asked it last week. Okay. So, I'm going to be paying about 3,000. So if I'm paying 0.49 years, I'm going to be paying about $300 a month if I am running the model with 1 GPU. So if I'm running the 7 billion parameter model, I'm going to be paying close to $300 a month, which is reasonable, but it's close to what I pay for the API anyway. So I might as well just use the API because of all the setup. Okay. What if the cost is, how much is this? Okay, sorry, it's my mistake. It's 2.2 per hour. All right, it's per hour, not per minute. So 2.2 per hour, I'll be paying, about 1,600 a month, which is reasonable. I mean, it's reasonable depending on what you're using this for. Okay, so so thank you guys for watching. I'm glad that I took this exercise and I ran this, and I'm going to immediately, I just want to show you how quick it is. All right, I'm going to exit out of this. All right, I'm going to exit out of this and clear my window, and then I'm going to just show you, when you're in your machines, how easy it is to just deactivate that machine. So when you don't want it anymore, let's say you've used it for your 1 hour of fame and you're happy with what you've seen, you can just go up here and deactivate the machine, and then you immediately stop getting charged. You're only going to get charged for the amount of hours that you actually used. So if you want to play around with these things and you want to see what's possible, you've got a couple of $10-$20 or something that you can put in a card, you can definitely try them out for a few hours and then deactivate them as soon as you're done with them without incurring a huge cost. So if I really wanted to test out those 8 GPUs, I could and just run it for like an hour and then see what I get out of it. But thank you guys for watching. We'll see you again next week.